I'm using this 10 by 10 craft store mesh just as a background filler for this wreath. Gather the end of the mesh and you can attach it just like that, or you can make a small loop or puff like I'm doing here. You want your mesh puffs or loops to be even, use this 1, 2, 3 method, or you can even measure it every time you attach it. I usually don't do this, but then again, my puffs end up being different sizes. But once you spread them out, a lot of times it doesn't even matter. But for those of you that want it to be nice and straight and even, use this method. Another tip when attaching mesh, make sure you're tucking the sides in. It's a little more difficult with this 10 by 10, but if you're using the 21-inch width, you'll notice a big difference. I apologize, my video cut off before finishing attaching the white mesh. What I did at the very end was I just made one last poof, just like I did at the very beginning. I wouldn't recommend using this Dollar Tree mesh with a 21-inch width mesh because it would just get swallowed in it and you would barely be able to see it. The wreath form I'm using already has tinsel wire attached to it. The outer portion has 10 of those and the inner portion has 8. Around the outer portion I am attaching groupings of 30 spirals. I won't have enough mesh to do that on the inner portion, so I will have to just make do with what I have. There's enough mesh for me to do groupings of the pink and blue together and then the multicolored by itself. I'm very happy with the decision of using the white mesh as a filler because it's making those colors really pop. To figure out how many ribbon tails I'll need, I put a yardstick through the wreath so I would know where to begin and end with my counting. When you cut the V shape into the ends of ribbons, it does tend to make them fray easier, so I'm using my favorite method, which is the lighter. You can use nail polish on the end of your ribbons, or you can buy that no fray. It does discolor the ribbons sometimes, so be careful using that. I'm attaching the ribbon tails between the puffs and spirals, so I will not be using the tinsel wire that's already attached. That's why I'm using Chenille stems. In previous videos, I've shown you how to attach chenille stems to the back of the signs using hot glue and chipboard. This time I wanted to show you how to go ahead and use the holes that are provided on the sign. It does limit how you can attach the sign though, but I just wanted to show you a different way. I'll be making two bows for this wreath. This first bow is going to be a small one for the top left-hand corner, and I'm making a center loop for this bow. I don't think I've shown a tutorial for this yet. Adding a second tail onto the back of the bow is very simple. Now when tying this type of bow with a center loop, you want to make sure you put the chenille stem through that first loop you made, and then make sure the chenille stem is going through the center of the rest of it so your loops stay in place. Finding a gap to stick your chenille stem through can sometimes be a little tricky, but just keep messing with it. If you don't want to cut a V at the end of your ribbons, you can simply tuck them under like this. Sometimes they will come undone though. Now I'm taking all those leftover pieces of ribbon, some of them aren't very long, and I'm going to make a really pretty bow out of all that. Unrolling the spool, you can see where they had sealed two pieces of ribbon together. I'm going to have to cut that off. This plaid ribbon is really pretty, but it's difficult to work with. It's very flimsy. A stiffer ribbon is going to make a prettier bow, and it's going to be easier to work with. With all these tails and loops, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to find the center, but just keep working it and make sure that you get that chenille stem wrapped around the entire center so you don't lose any of those loops. I'm removing these styrofoam eggs from their ribbon garland. I'm going to take chenille stems and hot glue the end of it and stick it into the eggs where the hole already is. It'll make it easier for me to attach to the wreath, and they will stay on the chenille stems since I hot glued them. Make sure you're wrapping the chenille stem around the wreath form so the eggs don't fall off. I'm doing the same thing with these little carrots as I did the eggs. The only difference is they're wrapped in yarn, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get the chenille stem on. On a couple of them I had to actually cut or move the yarn a little bit. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and share and comment. I appreciate any feedback. This wreath cost me less than $20 to make. It's very reasonable and I think it's full and really pretty and colorful.